Hello FlossTube Stitchers, this is Shelly at Just Stitching Inc. in Strongsville, Ohio, which is a suburb of Cleveland. And I say that because I've noticed that I've gotten some new viewers and subscribers on YouTube. So I thought I would just throw that in there every once in a while to remind people where I am and that I am a brick and mortar cross-stitch shop. Alrighty, a couple weeks ago, I believe I mentioned that I was going to talk about the models behind me, and I haven't done that yet. So I did a little video, and then I put individual pictures of all of the models on loan, whether they belong to me or my framer or customers, and I identified them with the designer name and the name of the chart or kit, and that'll be towards the end of the video, so I didn't want you to think I forgot about my promise. So since we're talking about Patriotic, my vintage stitch is Bent Creek Made in the USA Snowman. And I just love these kits with the 18 count linen and the pearl cotton. They're such a nice break from working on higher count of fabric. They're good if you're someplace without perfect lighting, or if you're stitching in the car, or you know, you just need a break from the 40 count. So it includes everything you need. Most of them are done with the number 5 pearl cotton. This design actually hangs full-time in my living room, which is blue. And when we first moved in, it was winter. And I think I just did a winter display on the one wall, and it happened to have snowmen. And so a couple of the patriotic ones just ended up staying up there full time until I can maybe get some other things that are suitable to hang all year. But we do live in Cleveland, so a lot of times I leave my snowmen up through March anyway, so it's not a bad thing to have a permanent place for that. The stitching that I worked on last week was actually something new. Why did I start something new? I don't remember. I just did. I think it was because I had had the same whips for a while, and then I finished a couple of them. So I started something that was fairly new, and that's not my husband because he knows not to call. Oh, this is Monday. Maybe I'll explain later why it's Monday. All of the calls that have come through today have all been spam risk. And if they do call and I don't answer, my days and hours are on my answering message, so they would know I wasn't open. But anyway, sorry about that. You know, I'm kind of not editing these days, so I'm just gonna leave that in. But Heart and Hand has a new series called Imprints, and the first one is Berries and Blooms. And of course I had to do strawberry for my strawberry and bee collection. Kind of goes together because of the summer theme, and also because the strawberries that I've stitched and collected over the years remind me of my grandmother on my dad's side, and all the bee things I've stitched and the bee memorabilia and tchotchkes that I have remind me of my grandfather on my mom's side. And they do kind of look good together because strawberries and bees look good with black accents. So later in the summer, maybe August or something, I'll try to do a little video of that, of what I have at home. Anyway, I made one change so far, and then there will be another change. So I chose Little Sprout for the green because I thought the Weeping Willow that it called for was just a little too dull. Maybe it was the fabric I chose. This is just a random 30 count coffee dye that was in my stash that's no longer available, but it was just the perfect size to do both of these designs. So I just darkened it to Little Sprout, and I did the whole berry in like 2 nights or something. I can't remember now. There is one change on the berry that I'm going to keep. Do you see how the largest strawberry has one less little leaf, or whatever you want to call it, on the calyx or cap of the strawberry, it's charted with this extra one, and I like it, so I'm gonna leave it. And then I'm auditioning different colors for the blooms because I believe that I'm going to have the blooms out during spring rather than summer, and the design shows them in red, and I just didn't want to do another design with red. So if you know me, my first choice is usually blue, but since it would be for spring and probably would be with my Easter things, I thought maybe I would entertain the idea of using a pink or a purple. And when I posted it last week, people gave me their suggestions or choices on Facebook and Instagram, and several people have asked me what I chose. Well, you can see this is almost a complete week later, and I did not choose yet. I moved on to something else, and maybe I'll get some of my spring things out and see maybe what's missing in the color palette and then decide. But it'll just take me an evening probably to finish that. And then there is a little blooper with the blooms chart as well. You could probably figure it out yourself, but since it's a contemporary design of the strawberries and blooms, you may have just started stitching the way it's charted without realizing that it's charted for the stem and leaves of the blooms to also be red. And that's obviously not the way it was stitched. So luckily that's I started with the green and I figured it out before I got too far. So I have made the designer aware. Again, it's not a big deal. I'm sure you would have thought of it yourself, and if you had stitched it by mistake, it wouldn't be much to frog, but I caught it in time. So that is berries and blooms. And then, as you know, I'm trying to dedicate myself to maybe once a week going back to some of my whips. And a while back, I had started the series Festive Little Fobs, and I believe I may have already shown you some of the ones from the Halloween or autumn edition, but I did start working on the Patriotic ones a couple years ago. These came out in 2018, and there was one for every month, but then she thought of a few other ideas, so there's actually 15 in the Fobs series. But I just remembered that she had a little issue, and that's what started this idea. So let me just read you a little bit on what's written on the inside of this chart. The idea for this series came to me as I was sitting at a freshly wiped computer hard drive, wondering if any of my lost charts and data were going to be recovered. Yikes, can you imagine a designer having that happen? And you know, sometimes they're working with older computers or older systems that get upgraded, or they need to switch to a new computer, and not everything translates well. Anyway, Beth said, I was at a complete loss for what to do if I had to recreate months worth of charts that I had in the queue for 2018. I opened a new file and started designing some simple little motifs, and the ideas started rolling. So that little glitch in her computer history provided her anxious inspiration for a whole new series that's been really fun to stitch. So I had already done a few of these, but maybe didn't finish all the colors. So this is the first one I found in my stash, and I just had this perfect piece of, possibly it's flax. Oh, sorry, the one is upside down. But it's just the way, I think because of the way I wanted to hold the fabric, so I did it upside down. I believe it might be flax 36 count, but I have a little bin of random small pieces of fabric, and I have them by count so that I don't have to figure that out every time. I didn't mark each piece of fabric with the actual name and count and everything because it didn't really matter to me. I just wanted to save them from being thrown away. And as many of my local customers know, we do make these remnant packs where you get 5 pieces for either $5 or $7.50, depending on whether they're a solid color or overdyed. But some of these are just too weird of a shape, and I'm always afraid that if somebody got it, they'd go, what the heck am I gonna stitch on this? Like, why did I get this? So I don't usually, like, I might have cut this in half and put it in 2 different packs, but a lot of times I just keep it for myself, and it's just perfect for these smalls. The reason I didn't finish that bell in the middle is because I was trying to use the colors that Beth called for, but I don't know. I just have an aversion to this lichen. I know it's supposed to look like a tarnished bell, so I'm still looking at various other colors that I could use, but I really want to get these finished, so I need to make a decision on that. I did change the red from Red Rocks to Cayenne, because Cayenne was a little redder, I think, and Red Rocks was maybe a little more rusty. And then I also darkened the Americana to navy. But everything else so far I've been keeping the same. So then I did this little guy. Just have to add the white in the flag shield and then add the greenery around it. My skein of Oscar, I think, is in the pack with the autumn stitching, the Halloween stitching, and I just couldn't find it. All of these other ones were together. The Halloween one was the only one that was separate, so I couldn't find it at the moment. And then last night I stitched this little flag, and he has a nice border going around it in Oscar, and the word, oh no, not the word flag, 1776 over 1. So a few months ago, I might have been a little concerned about working over 1 or working over 36 and 40 count, but I started off, I didn't mention it, but 2 videos ago, my first one in 2020, started off with my new glasses. So I need a new prescription every 1.5 to 2 years, because as I'm aging, my eyes are changing, not necessarily getting worse, the eye doctor says. Sometimes they're lateral changes, and it's just as your eye dries up, things separate and are not the same as they were before, and you need a new prescription. So if you just think of it as lateral changes instead of your eyesight getting worse, it's a little easier to deal with. Anyway, I can see 36 and 40, and my elbow is cooperating, my shoulder's cooperating, so I've had no trouble stitching on the higher counts of fabric. All right, that takes care of all of that. Oh, I was just going to show you, I don't know if I'm going to use any of these for the Patriotic series, but I've been collecting these little frames. A lot of them are 1.5 by 2.5, 2 by 3, 3 by 4. This is a 3 by 3, but they're at Michael's, and there's a permanent end cap in at least the ones near us that are near the framing department, and it's like an ongoing sale or special. They're usually $3.99, and if you buy 2, you get them for $3.50 each. So you're saving $1 total on the 2 frames. And so every time I go in, I get 2 more frames. I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but I just think they're inexpensive, and they come with glass if you can use it, but you don't need to use it, and you can finish them yourself, and you can also, you know, change them out. So if you had one that you wanted to use for a couple different seasons or holidays, you can change them out easily yourself. So that was one I got recently. And then I didn't remember ever seeing this round one before, and that of course could be used for any season and any holiday, any design. But it might get a bee in it, you never know. If one of the Patriotic ones doesn't work, it might get a bee in it. Speaking of bees, this was also in my stash, and she does have a beekeeping edition of the Festive fobs. I may have shown you this before when I was stitching those. And then I just love this little polka dot one. So we shall see if any of these make the cut for this series. But again, that's at Michael's, and so if you're going in for floss or something else, just kind of run by that department and see if you can find that end cap. All right, that's that. Now I believe I'm going to show you the video and the slideshow, and then I'll come back and do door prizes. All right, see you in a few. Okay, here are the winners of last week's giveaways. And was anyone else confused that I had more than one giveaway last week and I talked about it at 2 different times? No? Oh, never mind then. No, I realized at the end of the video, and I didn't do any editing, so I thought, oh, I'm not going to change this. It's really fine. I haven't done videos for so long. I feel like I owe you some more giveaways. And was it the week before? Yes, the week before they were all donations from a designer, so they weren't even my giveaways, so I thought it was okay. But I had these notes that said ideas for future giveaways, but I happened to be showing both items in the same video. Anyway, when I did the drawing, there were significantly, like double, I think, the responses for the fabric. So I did the charts first. So I did 2 separate run-throughs, the comments, and I did the chart first. And the name chosen was Cheryl Frizz, F-R-I-Z. I don't know if that is her last name or if that's a short nickname for YouTube. But anyway, I've already commented on her comment about that. And she had chosen When I Think of Traveling, because she's looking forward to getting back to traveling this year. And then the 25 count water sapphire Lugana quarter yard is going to Verpy R, and I've also commented on hers. So you might have noticed during the video and also my vintage stitch this week that there's a lot of Bent Creek on display, and so I decided to give a Bent Creek giveaway. During a recent automatic, or with a recent automatic, they had included some free stuff. So I'm going to give you a Precious Friend, and you could stitch it for yourself and say that I gave it to you. Or you can do it for another friend or sister-in-law or mother or whoever you want to give it to. So that is a $10 value. And with the auto, they had given a sticker set. They meant it for the shop owner, but that's okay. I don't think they'll mind if I give them away. So this is a whole nother series, a what's in a what. So they're like snowflakes in a snowman shape and leaves in a pumpkin shape. And anyway, that's a really cute series. These are stickers. And then there's another set of stickers, and a lot of these are their new designs. And one of the stickers is Precious Friend. So you could give that with a design or save it for yourself, whatever you want to do. So just say something about Bent Creek, either something that you've stitched from them, something that you liked in my display, or something in your stash that you want to stitch, and we'll look for Bent Creek when we do the random choice for next week's video. Did I tell you, let's see, did I tell you why I'm doing it today? Oh, it took me longer to do the video and to identify all the pictures, and I found maybe 6 pictures that I had never shown on social media, so I had never taken a really good photograph of them. It just took me longer than I thought, and my husband talked me into coming home and doing it today. So for various reasons, I listened to him, and so that's why I'm doing it on a Monday. And I think that's, oh, you know what? As a special surprise, because you made it all the way to the end of the video and didn't stop at the Patriotic display, I'm going to show you a new fabric that came. This, you may have noticed it if you get my newsletter that I think, did I put it in the last one? I think I put it in the last newsletter because I had already gotten the shipping notice that it was coming. So this is a new fabric from Zweigart. It's called Lucan, L-U-C-A-N, and it's 32 count. This is the only count and the only color it's available in, to my knowledge. It's 48% cotton, 52% linen, I think, is the breakdown. And as far as the color goes, it's lighter than raw and a little less yellow than flax. But as you know, raw and flax do come differently because flax is a natural product and things happen in the growing season. But anyway, just for what we had on in stock right now, I thought I'd show you how it compared. But I think it's really interesting. And I love neutral fabrics. It's also less expensive than other linens because it is part cotton, so it might be an affordable, interesting choice instead of going with something more expensive or an over-dyed, because it has a little bit of a, it's almost like there was a fabric that was like this before. This was not the name of it, but it was a cotton and linen together, and it came in about 5 or 6 colors. I'll have to look this up, but I don't think it's still available. I think the white was more prominent than it is here, but I just feel like this is another interesting neutral that you can put in your stash. So it's Lucan. And when I went to find reviews or other information about it, everything I found online was from Europe. So I feel like this is really new to the US. So I guess that's it for today. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.